In horror films, it is quite common for a mirror image of a person to live a separate life. Of a person lives a separate life. It is the complete opposite of a real person, an evil entity that wants to destroy its host on the other side of the mirror. The most amazing thing is that our universe has a similar double. What is the mysterious mirror image of our universe? And what happens if you get there? The reason to believe that the universe has a mirror image is the CPT invariance theory. The letter C in this abbreviation stands for charge parity. That is, each elementary particle has a twin with an opposite charge. Neutrons are opposed by antineutrons, electrons by antielectrons or positrons, and so on with every particle discovered by scientists. The letter P refers to the symmetry of space. That is, all three directions in our 3D dimension have opposite directions. T means that, in addition to the forward movement of time, there is a symmetrical movement in the opposite direction. This symmetry existed at the very moment of the universe's birth, of the universe. In the first nanoseconds after the Big Bang, there was an equal amount of matter and antimatter. A little later, there was one extra particle per 1 billion particles and antiparticles. Now, in the part of the universe we observe, no significant accumulations of antimatter have been detected. Scientists ask themselves a question. Why did this supersymmetry break? And where did a huge amount of antimatter disappear without a trace? In fact, if the entire giant array of antimatter had remained, our universe would have disappeared immediately after the Big Bang, because when an antiparticle meets a particle, the so-called annihilation occurs. Particles simply disappear in a flash of light, with the release of an incredible amount of energy. That is why physicists initially assumed that there was more matter in the beginning. Antimatter and matter mutually annihilated, and the excess matter formed the universe we have now. But such a hypothesis has many mathematical discrepancies, so they had to look for another explanation. Canadian scientists from the Perimeter Institute for Theoretical Physics, led by Neil Turk, have proposed their own version. They came to the conclusion that immediately after the Big Bang, the universe we know and live in emerged in one direction, while in the opposite direction, the anti-universe began to emerge. It consists entirely of antimatter, and time in the Antiverse goes from the future to the past. That is, right now, there is a copy of you made of antimatter sitting upside down in front of an upside-down computer, and you're already knowing how this video will end, because you are watching it from the end to the beginning. This raises a lot of questions. What does life look like from an antimatter perspective? Will we ever be able to establish contact with the Antiverse? Scientists tried to give their answer by creating antiparticles in the laboratory back in 1932, the first positrons or antielectrons, and in 1955, scientists from Berkeley managed to produce antiprotons. Later, physicists were able to produce not just antiparticles, but entire antiatoms, such as antihelium and antihydrogen, thanks to improved technologies. However, at first, they were very difficult to study. Antiatoms collided with hydrogen atoms, and after 172 milliseconds, they mutually destroyed each other. To extend the lifetime of antiparticles, scientists used special IF-Pritchard electromagnetic traps. They prevented particles and antiparticles from meeting and annihilating for some time. Thus, in 2011, antihydrogen was able to exist for as long as 1,000 seconds, and in 2014, 80 antihydrogen atoms were created for detailed study. And at the end of 2020, scientists designed a portable antiparticle trap so compact that it can be loaded into a van and moved to the next experiment site. But still, most studies have not yet been able to give clear answers to the question of what antimatter is. However, we know one thing for sure. If, by some miracle, you manage to get to the Antiverse, you are doomed. Since every cell of your body consists of ordinary matter, In the Antiverse you will explode with the release of a huge amount of energy and then disappear without a trace. However, you can provide the inhabitants of the mirror world with the most spectacular sight of their lives, or, on the contrary, destroy all life on the twin of our planet in the Antiverse with your appearance. The fact is that the interaction of 1 gram of antimatter and matter is equal in power to a 21.5 kiloton explosion. This is slightly more than the power of the H-bomb dropped on Nagasaki. The weight of an average person is 75 kilograms, which is equal to about 76,786 explosions of the Fat Man atomic bomb. Therefore, in any case, a visitor from the opposite universe will have catastrophic consequences. However, the same thing, although on a much smaller scale, is constantly happening inside your body. The radioactive isotope potassium-40 often enters your body, along with food and air. When it interacts with your molecules, it begins to decay and emit positrons, or anti-electrons. In this way, you emit 18 antiparticles per hour, which equals about 4,000 per day. They are immediately destroyed by ordinary matter and converted into gamma radiation. This amount of antimatter is quite tiny, but it's all that's left of you after you fall into the Antiverse. If you can get a few objects from the mirror world without harming yourself, it can make you incredibly rich. After all, according to NASA's 2006 estimates, 1 milligram of positrons cost about $25 million. A gram of antihydrogen was worth $62.5 trillion in 1909. But it is better to forget about these gigantic sums, because instead you will get a painful but bright death. Another point that makes it difficult to get to the mirror world is that the Antiverse existed before the Big Bang. That is, the events in it occurred more than 14 billion years ago. Even if we learn how to safely stay near antiparticles, we will need to find a way to get far into the past. In theory, time travel is possible, but only within our universe, at least for now. Nevertheless, there is a possibility that you, me, and all the people around us are living in the Antiverse. Some physicists believe that regardless of which side of the Big Bang our universe is on, we will still perceive the environment as ordinary matter, and time will only move forward even if everything is the other way around. It is worth noting that even in the absence of contact with the Antiverse, we constantly mutually influence each other. Every time scientists create or destroy a new particle, an antiparticle is born or dies, no matter how much we want to. Even if contact with the Antiverse is ever possible, it will end in mutual self-destruction. However, there is the very possibility of the existence of a mirror copy of our world, and each of us literally turns our worldview inside out. Recently, however, a theory has emerged that could completely negate the Antiverse. The main proof of its existence is based on the absence of a large amount of antimatter in our universe, but researchers from the Brookhaven National Laboratory and the University of Kansas have found another explanation. According to their assumptions, the Higgs Trinity is to blame. It consists of 3 types of particles, called Higgs bosons. They differ from other particles in that they generate an incredible amount of energy and decay within short periods of time. They generate a stream of ordinary matter particles that has destroyed almost all antimatter in the universe, but only one of the 3 probable bases has been discovered so far. So the Antiverse theory still has a chance to exist. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want more interesting information about space and astronomy, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to like this video, so we know you appreciate our content. Also, leave a comment with your thoughts and questions. Thank you for watching, join us, and see you soon in the depths of space.